As you'll tell me when you're ready. Are you ready? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SANSA, South African National Space Agency. If it's your first time being here in Hermanus with us, my name is Thandile Vundu. I'm the Science Engagement Unit Manager here at SANSA in Hermanus. This next session is going to mainly focus on careers that related to space technology, space science, research, and also we're going to also do some focus on the National Science Week. So we're celebrating National Science Week, which is the last day today of the National Science Week. It started on the 30th, which was on a Monday, and today is the last day for National Science Week. So the day is celebrated each year in South Africa. So this is the first time it's celebrated in October. It's usually celebrated in the first week of August or last week of July. So this year things have changed a bit. That is why we're celebrating National Science Week in October. It's also the start, or it's the second day of World Space Week, which is mainly the focus of this National Space Agency. So we're also celebrating World Space Week at the same time. So World Space Week is every year from the 4th of October till the 10th of October. So it's celebrated worldwide. So we're celebrating two things at once. So we're trying to kill two birds with one stone. So that is probably what we're doing. So I will firstly start by introducing the panelists that are sitting on the panel, that we're going to have a nice discussion, and then we're going to open up for public comments and also public questions as well. If you have questions, you're more than welcome. There should be two mics that are roving around. I'm not sure who's going to be doing. Okay, there's one person. Is that only you? Okay, so we're going to have one mic roving around. It's a very fun mic. We just throw it around. Don't worry. It's not going to, you can just exercise. You can throw it around. Throw it, yes? Thank you, Marshall. And then you can throw it in front. Here's someone to catch it. Anyone wants to catch? It's not going to kill you. Yes, so that's a mic. Yes. Okay, so that's the mic we're going to be using if you have any questions or comments. So, as I've said, my name is Thandile. My surname is Vundu. I'm the Science Engagement Unit Manager here at SANSA. And I'll introduce the lady next to me. Her name is Dr. Zama Katamzi Joseph. She's our space science researcher. And then next to Dr. Zama Katamzi Joseph, we have Ms. Makia Da Silva. She is one of our forecasters, as you see in the beautiful screens that are in front. So she's one of the forecasters there. We have a Space Weather Center that is operating 24/7. So she's one of the forecasters in our Space Weather Center. And next to her, we have a beautiful lady that looks shy, but I know she's not shy. Ms. Sisanda Tuku from Youth Movement. She came all the way from Cape Town to be part of the panel. I think she deserves a round of applause. So Ms. Tuku is a content producer. So we might be seeing ourselves live somewhere on ENCA or somewhere. I'm not sure. And also we have the only gentleman in the panel. I feel for you. We have Mr. Sanele Kanyile. Mr. Sanele Kanyile is our PhD student. So he's currently doing his PhD. So hopefully in the next 2 years, we're going to be saying Dr. Sanele Kanyile. Yes. So just to kick off things, we would like to focus on the National Science Week theme. So the National Science Week theme speaks on living in a high-tech world. Should we be concerned? I think nowadays everything is technology. And for us as a space agency, we are in an advantaged position because we know almost everything that has to do with technology comes from space. So it comes from satellites. We make use of satellites, whether be it internet. When you're doing your research, you will need a satellite to connect you for you to do your research properly. So I will give it to Dr. Zama Katamzi just to tell us, should we be concerned when we in the world that we're living in now? You can see almost everyone is having their cell phones as we speak. They're probably updating Twitter, X, Instagram, and everything. In your field of research, should we be concerned? Because I know the research that you're doing is high intense. So what's your take on the technology that we're currently having to do with in our everyday lives. Thank you.
Good day, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be on the panel today. So I'm a researcher in space physics here at SANSA, and for a researcher nowadays, it requires that you are familiar with a lot of technology in order to be competent in doing your research. That has made life a little bit easier in terms of getting the information, because as a researcher, first and foremost, what pushes you to do research is your desire for knowledge. So you want to know why something happens a certain way. And in order to get that knowledge, you need information. Now, in order to get that information, you rely mostly on technology to gather that information, because you cannot be everywhere or at the same time or any other point, really. So technology that exists, especially space technology, because as a space physicist, what we want to know involves space, and we cannot or physically go there. So if we want to gather the information about space and you cannot go there, that means you must rely on technology, space, satellite, to gather that information, send it back to us so that we can make sense of what that information is about and what it tells us about space and our interaction with space. So for us as scientists, we see the advances in technology as a good thing, because it allows us to collect as much information as possible from different viewpoints in order to get a larger global picture of what's going on and how we can use this as a society to advance. So as Thandile has mentioned, that some of the technology that we have here on Earth actually came from space. You might not, so the one that is used most often is the navigation, so the GPS that you use on your phone, which you actually uses based on the signals that come from the satellite in space. But you don't have to even go that far. I mean, almost all houses, especially RDP houses that are built by government, actually have solar geysers. And that technology was at first used in space for satellite to get the energy in order to operate. We couldn't send them with batteries, or there's nowhere to plug in an outlet for them to get the power to operate and be able to send that information. So what engineers and scientists back in that day design is that the solar panels will be used to collect the energy from the sun, convert that into electricity so that the satellites will work. And now we're using that to power our geysers. People are using it as an alternative for the traditional electricity we get from coal or nuclear power. But actually, also, if you think about like a thing that you use almost every day is what? You sleep on a bed. And now most beds have a foam. That foam was developed in space for landing, so that it cushions the craft when it lands, so that the instruments do not break. And now they realize, actually, we can use that foam, that material that we develop in space for everyday use for mattresses. So it's not, in my view, it's not that we are living, if you think about space technology, it's something so abstract that there is no relation to what we currently live or we currently use in our daily lives. But it's more in the how can we use the space technology that is being produced, or the technology that is produced for space applications, how can we repurpose that for advancing making our lives easier here on Earth? Thank you.
Um, Thank you, Dr. Zamaka Tams Joseph. I will give it to Maki Da Silva. So, as someone who's mainly safeguarding this technology that is in space, as our forecaster, because some of this technology we've heard that it can be damaged with some of these disruptions that are happening from the sun. It can damage some of our technology. It can also delay some of our communications and stuff. So, as a forecaster, what would be your take? Why do we need space? Why do we need objects in space? Let's start there.
Thank you. So the reason why it is that we would need instruments in space is because we need the information that comes from it to be able to make a decision. One thing that's important is that when you look at how we collect data, the importance of having that data is getting it from a point where it's data to a point where it becomes information. And then based on that information, we then as forecasters come in to synthesize that information so that we can be able to give people some kind of idea of what to do. And then based on what it is that we suggest, then people then have that knowledge to be able to make better decisions with regards to, like say, for example, how it is that you're going to be treating your, say, if you have a satellite that is orbiting what you call outside of the Earth's atmosphere. So that is why it is that we do need to have instruments within space. And also with the work that we do, one of the things that we sometimes look at is monitoring how the solar wind speeds are like when coming from the sun. So currently we are kind of having problems. It's not really something that we at SANSA can at the moment like fix, but then we know that the greater space weather community is working towards maybe getting the technologies to be able to monitor things such as the solar wind speeds and the density, because we need such information to be able to actually know when it is that we are having events. Because from the time that I've worked as a space weather forecaster, there have been times where sometimes you don't actually have contact from some of the satellites such as ACE or Discover. And then now when you don't have that satellite giving you proper data, or if it's giving you data, we sometimes have it recorded as suspicious. So you don't really know for sure whether you can go with that data or not. So we would like to have, these instruments be there for us so that we are able to tell you that when we say, okay, we're expecting a geomagnetic storm to come at this point in time, and if we've been waiting for it to come today, how is it that when a person from the public asks, how do you know whether it came? Then we make use of that information that we got from the instruments to be able to give a definitive answer to that question. So, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Da Silva. I feel like I have to reintroduce Ms. Sisanda Tuku. So, Ms. Sisanda Tuku is from Youth Media Movement. I think I said Youth Media. So she's from Youth Media Movement and she's a content producer. So as someone who's a content producer, I would assume you're more into digital technologies and the communications technologies. As you produce your content, you're the one person that is probably using the technology more than us and is more dependent on the technology. I feel like you will be someone who can then tell us, should we be concerned in this high-tech world that we're currently living in?
Hello, everybody. As a content producer, there's a lot that goes in. A lot of research needs to be done. Firstly, any content you produce, before you even produce this, you start with an idea. So your idea is like, let's say, for instance, I need to bring someone to the studio to talk about, let's say, SANSA. So for me, as a content producer, I need to go and do a research about what is SANSA about, what do you do. Also, the internet, especially in digital world, it's so much easier because now we no longer have to go through the magazines, newspapers. Now we just go to the internet, Google. Also, we need to get photos as well. We get photos, we document it into hard drives, which is another technology that we use. Then after that, also with the cameras that we use, it's also technology. Even if you need to do, and maybe let's say a live broadcast, definitely you need the space technology as well to connect us into different platforms. Where are we broadcasting from? Let's say we are broadcasting from Facebook, YouTube. We need to connect each other and we connect to the space. We need that technology as well. And then technology has already improved our lives. Even with shooting films, it has changed. Even with the cameras, we go from this camera to other camera, this camera to another ARRI, all these other cameras. So technology has improved, and without technology, we cannot survive, because most of the things that we do in our daily lives need camera. We need technology. Even with our phones each and every day, the technology within the phone, it keeps changing. Upgrade. That's the technology. So in closing, I'd like to say it's important that we have technology, and also with back in where we come from, youth media movement. Now we are into drones. So also as filmmakers, we need drones to take certain shots that we cannot take with our cameras on our cell phones. Let's say we need an overview of this room above us. So we cannot take the camera and do above. We need the drones to actually take what we, as with the main person, we cannot take, and we cannot be flying around with the camera. Technology comes into place again. It helps us. And also, most importantly, another thing, sometimes we tend to abuse technology, which is a problem, an issue. So sometimes as much as technology helps us to connect with other people, but it also destroys our lives, because it's taking us far away from maybe relationships, families, because we are so independent on social media. We cannot live without social media. We're so attached now with this social media. We cannot detach ourselves, it's also a concern. Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. That was a mouthful. Thank you very much, Sisanda. Coming to Mr. Kanyile, you're one of our students pursuing his PhD. I think one of the things I'll pick up from what Sisanda has said, we're so much reliant on technology. And one of the things now that is messing up with our minds is the artificial intelligence. So everything we do, we're so lazy. We just, I'm doing this research. Let me just type the subject and then boom, AI gives me everything. I think that is what technology is talking about. And I know as students, sometimes you become lazy and like, I don't have time to write this. So my question to you, do you really think we should be concerned? Because I've heard of people doing their masters, their PhDs using AI. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's really a serious issue, especially when it comes to the AI. Because imagine, let's say you are studying at uni, so that means it's online learning, and then you also do your assignments online. Sometimes you do your assessment, your test, and also your exams online as well. So we can use AI to do that, and you pass your qualification with distinction and stuff. Especially, let's say maybe you are doing a social work, for instance. Then the questions that will be asked on the social work for the social work papers, then you can be able to use the AI, and then you get answers to all of those questions. Then you pass your degree with flying colors. But then you get to work now. When you get to the working environment, let's say you have now a client is in a social work, and then you need to talk to your client and stuff. Then what do you say to the client? Because actually you are not a qualified social worker. It's the AI that is a qualified social worker, not you. Then yeah, exactly. Then that's the thing. So we need to go to your client with your phone, because you need to continue using the AI, because that's the one you have a degree in that field. So we need to continue using that AI. Then imagine if the internet can go off, you can get things done. Then you ask your patient, actually the patient will tell you have a problem with this and this and that. Then you ask AI, is saying you have a problem on this and this, and then the internet can go off. Then what do? You tell your client, okay, just wait now, I'll come back when there is an internet. Then what's the need of using you, or what's the need of coming and you look for help in their social work when they can just use the AI themselves. So that's a really a serious issue. I think we can rely on the AIs because they can get things done sometimes. But what I'm saying is you need to use the AI when you already know the answer. You need to know the answer, what you are looking for, because the AI can give you anything that you like or anything that it thinks you are looking for. The AI needs to understand your question, needs to understand your thoughts, needs to understand what you are looking for. Then you need to know when the AI is not giving you what you are looking for as well. So you need to have a background knowledge before you use the AI. Don't just use the AI with the blank mind. Use the AI with your knowledge. Then just let it guide you to put your ideas in the good manner. But don't just let it give you ideas. So I think that's the main point that we need to be aware of when you are using the AI. I'm not saying we should run away from the technology, because technology can get things done quicker and then with less time as well, or with less more equipment that we may need. But you need to be careful on that. You need to know your stuff, because the important part is you to use your mind, not to use the machine. So, and then I think that's the most part that we need to be aware of. We need to be aware not to over-rely on the technology or on the AI machines, because those are machines that also have been developed by people. So its knowledge is limitless. It's limitless to the time now. So as the things go and changes, the AI, they don't change it more instantly. They need time for those developers to change and update the knowledge. So and you also need to reference your work. And you also need to, whatever you are saying, where are you getting this thing? You are getting it from the AI, but the AI, where are you saying that thing? Exactly, you need to show reference that because Sanele Kanyele say this and that, so I'm continuing on that thing. It's a fact. So whatever you're getting from the AI, you can't say it's a fact. You don't know where the AI is taking this thing. Maybe it's taking for someone who's lying and stuff, and then you come back and use that knowledge. So it's dangerous, especially if you don't know if that knowledge is true, and that because you yourself, you are blank. That's why I'm saying you should have the background knowledge before you even touch the AI.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kanyile. I'll open up a round of hands, about 3, for your comments or questions to the panel, and then we take it from there. There's a mic here. Just throw it to Marshall.
Oh, I thought you look over me. Testing. Ooh, wow. Technology, no? Thank you. My name is Marshall Nelson from the Youth Media Movement. Thank you for this opportunity for Sansa and the staff. I just wanted to know, in terms of the technology that you guys are using to gather your data, I mean, we could never compare our technology with the first world countries. Not that I say that the first world countries is better than us, but if we look at their money they spend on technology compared to what we spend, we're talking about versus a dollar, pound, you know, compared to a rand. If we look at the technology that we have, do we think that it is sufficient or good enough to basically give us the accuracy? Because now if we look at the floods that we just recently received, the technology, was it able to guide us, to warn us? And what kind of technology do we have that can send something to communities to say to someone who stays in Easter River, brah, we are having cold front coming, snow is on its way, look what happened in KZN. Did we have the right technology to guide us to say that we will be happy, we will be getting that snow at this time, at this depth? Were we able to take that data to spread it to communities? That's what I want to find out. Thanks.
Okay, I'll give it to Dr. Katamzi. You go first.
Okay, so in terms of whether when you say we, South Africa have the same technology as first world countries, so the nice thing about technology is that it has opened up such that science and the data is common to everybody. So America can spend the money to develop a satellite, but that data can be used by anybody. So we can use that data to, because the more important thing in the science community is to get the answers to the questions that we have. Doesn't matter who comes up with the answer. That's the first priority. So even though we're not spending in terms of pound for pound, dollar for dollar, the same amount of money in terms of infrastructure putting out the satellite, we are actually getting the same access to this data. It's in terms of now, do we have the people to use the data to make the decisions that we need and inform the community. So now if you think about in terms of monitoring the weather, some of the technology actually is satellite. There's satellites that are dedicated to monitoring the normal terrestrial, well, we call it terrestrial weather, differentiate between space weather and the weather we experience on Earth. So the scientist can see the weather or can get the information. They need to interpret it in terms of the information that we need, give it to the people in power to make the decision. Now, the scientists have no control over what decision the people in power make. We can just say, this is what the data is telling us, this is what the science is telling us, we recommend this. Then the people that lead us then will make the decision based on the, existing, I guess, maybe manpower, resources that they have to make that decision. So it's not only, the scientists didn't warn us in time or whatnot. It's you have to bear in mind that as a scientist, yes, you can get the data, make the decision. Make the knowledge available. But if no one takes it up, you have no control over that.
I'm not sure if there's another comment before we move on.
Mike?
Okay, there's at the back.
Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Sasana Dumezweni, and I come from the YMM. So my question is, being a scientist and working with SANZA requires someone who has background in technology. Okay. Sorry, I wrote the question down. Who has a background with technology, not your normal phone technology. So what implementations are in place for that? Andivakal? Oh. What implementations are in place for that young kid from Ekase school who one day wants to become a scientist and work with SANZA? Sorry.
Okay. So this is actually Tandile's field. But one of the things that SANZA has is they're very big on science engagement. And actually, when it comes to a lot of like space agencies, there's always an emphasis on the need for there to be some form of science engagement, because you want to make sure that the information gets, obviously, like whoever it is that comes at some point
Is the mic?
So the point that I was trying to say is that at some point, the person that comes to be in power at some point was a child. And from the time that you're young, all of us can agree with the fact that the things that we come to value are things that when we grow up, we most likely continue to have those type of things that we value. So if you're able to get a young person to have an interest in science, even if they don't take a career in science, then they're able to see the value that comes with the information that you get from science and technology. So by us engaging with young ones in getting them interested into science, then it helps so that whenever it is that, say, they're trying to make a decision about what am I going to do after I'm done with matric, there's some extra classes, say, for example, that are being given by SANZA. There are some people that volunteer to help these students to improve with their science and math marks. so that it makes them more able to be able to get like space within universities or universities of technology. And then once it is that they've obtained those qualifications, then should there be what you call an opportunity either as an internship or for them to kind of get sponsorship from SANSA, then they can come and do the work here and then continue with their career from that point on. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
I think Sanele wants to say something also.
Can I use that mic? I think so. I wanted to jump in on that question. For me, I tend to disagree that you need a background in technology to become a scientist or to come and make it science. For me, when I get to university, it's on my first year, I didn't even know how to use the keyboard on the computer. I didn't have a smartphone. So you don't need all of that to become a scientist. Just need ambition. Just need the ambition to become a scientist. You just need to be ready to study because you are going to study. You don't have to be intimidated by your peers when they are leaving university after getting their degrees and looking for work. For you, just need to be ready to study further because to be a scientist, you need to get a PhD. So you need to be ready to spend more than 10 years in you. And even beyond, when you're already a scientist or a doctor, you need to study again. So you just need to tell your mind that you will be ready to study further or until you die. You find technology along the way. So you will find technology along the way. You don't need any background of technology. Just need to be good in your mathematics or physics, and you just need to be ambitious in your studies. You don't need any background in technology.
I'll just give it one more person.
Hello everyone, my name is Michaela. So I would just like to know on a question she asked as for, I'm not just referring to a black child but a privileged child. So I want to know, is like SANSA in maybe like sort of partnership with schools to identify children that is good at science, because lack of information can be a stepping stone for a child that has no knowledge about being in this field or whatsoever, but they have the ambition to be in the field. So I would just like to know, is like, do you guys have a way of reaching out to those children or what? Because like I said, opportunities are not being given to many of us, and technology is like being the wildest thing on earth, but not all of us have the advantage to be using it.
I think that's a good question. I think I can come into that question. So as SANSA, we have a unit called the Science Engagement Unit that is mainly responsible for outreach. So that is the unit that works mainly with the schools. So we mainly work with the Western Cape Education Department. But in terms of the overall reach per school, because of also the manpower. So within our Science Engagement Unit, we only 2 people that are permanent, and we make use of interns. So in terms of the reach, it's not that wide. We try to reach as many kids. We try to excite as many kids about STEM, which is your science, technology, and engineering. But obviously, we can't do that alone. So we need, I think this is my belief, I think we need to involve the communities as much as we involve schools, but the communities also at large needs to be involved when it comes to STEM. So that makes things easier. If you're at home, you're talking STEM. So it makes things easier for you rather than going to a school. At school, you have one teacher that is teaching, let's say in a class, especially if you're disadvantaged communities, you have a class which about 40-something kids in one class doing mathematics and science. There's no way that teacher is going to focus on all those 45 kids. So that is why I say we need also our communities to be fluent when it comes to STEM. We also need people from SANSA. You don't only need someone who's doing science engagement. You need a researcher, you need an engineer to be able to communicate the work that they do to a lame person there on the street, to say, this is why we're doing this is how this is helping us, this is how this is helping you on the street. So this is the science, for example, or this is the engineering. So what I'm saying is we do have to outreach, but I know it's not enough. Also, there's a thing for resources. You need resources to visit schools. You need resources to bring schools here. And that's another thing we don't have. So maybe, as I think Marshall said, in terms of the budgets, I think we're one of the lowest countries when it comes to science, when it comes to science in terms of our budget. So maybe it needs to start from the top, spiraling down. It can't start from down going up, because the people that control the budget are on top, not down. Thank you very much. Just to move on, I think we'll just give the panel members just 1 minute to 2 minutes to talk more into careers and also their path that they had to follow to be where they are and what is it that they are doing. I would firstly give to Dr. Zamakatamzi Joseph. Thank you.
Okay, so I am a space physics researcher. In order to get into my field, basically I had to do math and science at school. And then I went to university and I specialized in physics and maths. And then I had always known that I wanted to I wanted to be an astronomer when I was in high school. And I discovered astronomy by chance, actually. So I didn't know what I wanted to do until probably like grade 11, grade 12. And then I found out that in order to be an astronomer, you had to stay in school for pretty much, most of what it seemed your entire life. And okay, so then that's what I decided to do. But you can have that ambition, but also the community is important, what Andile was talking about, because that stream, space, is not really it's not really known in our communities. People always ask, like, okay, so you are doing astronomy, what are you going to do? What's your job at the end of the day? Are you not going to be overqualified so that you are unemployable? So this is the type of questions that actually were asked to me when I was studying, because my community wasn't familiar with the field. So it's important that, as the community, as the family, we actually introduce our kids to the science and engineering and at large fields so that they don't feel so isolated. In any case, after doing my BSc, then I carried on honors, masters, and ultimately PhD. But I switched from astronomy to space science in my master's after I discovered actually maybe astronomy wasn't as sexy as I thought it was. When I first started, I would see all these cool pictures of the galaxies and, nebula with all these fabulous, and I thought, okay, wow, this is what I'm going to do. And then I went to Sutherland in winter, and I was like, no, maybe that's not it. And then I switched over to space science, and also that, there were more applications that I could see if I studied space science vis-a-vis studying astronomy. And, after getting my PhD, then I was hired by SANSA as one of the postdocs, and started my career. But importantly, for an person coming from maybe not so privileged background, is that in order to do all these degrees, you need money, right? Yes. University is very expensive. Unfortunately, government has realized the value in having a population with advanced degrees, and so they have made available funding for studying for people who are doing their postgraduate degrees. And then I was lucky to get that, because otherwise I would not have been able to afford it. So yes, it is important to have desire, but more important, also equally important, is the dedication and the persistent in working hard, so that you have the grades, so that when funding opportunities are available, you are qualified to get those funding, those opportunities. So basically, what I'd like to encourage, especially the young people, is that you do need to work hard. you do need to concentrate on your subject or on your schoolwork in order to get the grades, in order to get the opportunities that might be available for you. In my particular circumstance, the fact that I could get the grades to get that, it meant that there was less financial burden on my parents for making sure that I reach my dream of being a scientist at the end of the day. So there are very many opportunities in terms of career. If you're in a technology, if you have a technology-based qualification, you can be a scientist, which is what the path I followed. But I also have friends that were in same class or same journey as me that decided to deviate from the academic field, from the science field, and go more into maybe business, into the financial sector. And that's the flexibility that we like about science, is that you can train as a scientist and end up working as an accountant or an accountant or a programmer in a financial sector, but you can't train as an accountant and work as a scientist. Okay, that's just, you don't have the skills to do that as an accountant, where else you can apply the skills that you get as a scientist in other environments and still be able to succeed.
With regards to myself, I actually pursued my studies in meteorology. So I did it up until my honors, and then after that I did my internship as a researcher. But unfortunately, due to budget cuts, I was not able to be absorbed. But then while looking for a job, I came across the job as a space weather forecaster, of which I applied for. The reason why is because meteorology was one of the things looking for when it came to the position. So even though, yes, there is a significant difference between meteorology and space weather, there's just some of the skills that you can actually take from whatever it is that you do to apply it into the next work that you do. So one of the things that I'm currently trying to do while working is that, because we sometimes have a little bit of downtime because there's not always space weather events happening. So sometimes I just maybe would look at some courses on some websites such as Udemy or Coursera to just improve on the skills that I do already have, so that should there be any future projects I can be able to work on, then I'm able to apply those skills. So yeah, that's the path that I took.
Again, I'm a content producer. Well, for me, guys, I'm a youth. I didn't go to university or college for my qualification. I did a skills program training. And then to youth, I want to say, if you maybe didn't get enough marks to get into varsity, it's okay. It's okay. I was one of them. It's okay. So I tried to apply UCT, UWC. Some didn't get response back, and then I needed 2 points to get into varsity. For me, it was so heartbreaking because I've dedicated my 3 years from grade 10 into morning class, afternoon class, and I didn't have chance to study. And then my parents were like, just do a gap year. I was like, no, I want to study. Then a poster just flying around social media, another technology advantage as well. So I applied. I didn't know what film and television was about. I just applied. Then as a career, I didn't think I was going to do film and television. Then while I was within the program, I've started to develop a passion for it. It's important, guys, I know sometimes you don't know what to do, but when you have that love, it makes your life easier. Even when you are sleeping, like, I know this shot, let me test this with the camera, you see. So the skills programs that are there, if you know your youth not doing anything, pick it up, take it. It's good. You don't know where it's gonna take you, just take it, because today I'm where I am as a content producer. I started from a skills program. Even my parents didn't take it seriously as a study, but you do get a qualification. And then also with the schools program, they provide you money, transportation to go and study. Some of us as a youth, we take it as, the money, just go there. No, it is a money, but as well, take it seriously. It's a qualification. It advances your life. What you do after that, it's still up to you. On mine, I went to Cape Town TV to be an intern there. From there, I stayed at home. But again, I had to decide, what am I doing with my qualification? Again, I met another skills training, which is youth media movement again. So where they taught me how to take my skill into something for myself, how to build a brand for myself, where we were taught entrepreneurship, how to start a business with the skill that you have, it's a big thing because it's not a popular thing, especially to us in our communities, to communities that there are no resources as well. So use technology as much as we use Facebook for certain things, but search things that are going to help you build your life. And don't take these programs lightly. They are so important, guys. And also in closing, fix your mindset. If you wanna do this, go for it. There's nothing stopping you, go for it. Even if you didn't get to varsity, like, my dreams have been broken down, go and do something, knock on the doors. If they don't open, go to the next one. If they don't open, climb on the roof and get there. Thank you.
Oh yes, thank you very much. For me, it was a little bit different as well because I didn't know that someone can be a scientist. So when I get into university from high school, I was good in mathematics. So I thought for me to be a mathematician, I should teach mathematics. Then I applied for a teaching position in or admission in universities. So when I get there, and then they tell me that there's a problem with my space, but they will call me again. But at that time, I'm coming with a film off, and but I have a film off. It's like, we call you. There's something we need to fix, and then but you can go to mathematics department there to do what I would do in the department of mathematics. But when I went there, and then they give me the film offer right on the spot. But then they said you should it's a double major now, so you should also choose something else to do. So then I choose physics because there was physics as well. So but during those undergraduate time, I didn't know where I'm going to work, what I'm doing actually when people are asking me, what are you doing in university? So I didn't know a lot of that. But I say, okay, I'll cross that beach when I get there. And then one thing led to one another, then I'm here as a scientist now. So when it comes to the job opportunities, I tend to believe that scientists can work everywhere. Because to be a scientist, you need to be a critical thinker, you need to think critically. So, and every company needs a critical thinker. There's no company that doesn't need someone who think critically. So, by saying that, I mean, even when you get to an interview or even when you're talking to someone needs to know that I'm talking to a scientist now. You need to be able to change the people's ideologies. You need to know, maybe when you left and they ask you, who is that guy? That guy is scientist. Without you explaining that you're a scientist. The thing that you speak from your mouth should say you're a scientist. Don't go around thinking that you're a scientist and stuff. Everything that you say should respect whatever that you are doing. So I have a lot of friends who are working everywhere in the banks and every stuff because we do computer programming. We do everything. As a science, you need to understand everything that is going on around the world. I always say, if you are a scientist, then you can have a friend that is committing suicide. That means you are not a scientist because you need to convince people. You need to change people's mind and stuff and make them think. So by saying that, you just need to get a degree in your PhD in physics, then you can work everywhere that you want to work on. Overseas, we travel a lot overseas. When we get there, they will give us the job opportunities. They will tell us what they can do. I know a lot of people who are working for NASA that we read in Zambia. Then people are working everywhere, and even in South Africa, they need a lot of science. Sarawi, even as I'm talking to you now, I saw the post. They need sciences. So they need sciences everywhere. They need sciences in banks. They need sciences in. If you wanted to be a teacher like me, the scientists are teaching in universities, every universities. How many universities do we have in the world? They need sciences to teach there. They need sciences to teach in colleges. They need sciences to teach everywhere. They need scientists in SKA, the project that we have. So if you get yourself a PhD in physics and then you're not getting a job, just come to me, then I'll give you mine. So I'll guarantee you, if you get a PhD in physics, or in science, actually, you will get a job. Otherwise, you are not thinking critical. I'll ask you, did you get your PhD, or it was the AI you get your PhD? So if you get your PhD, then you think critically. You can be anything that you want, and then you like to be in the world.
Unfortunately, due to time, I'm not going to open another round of questions or comments. I think this is where the session will end. Just like to thank my panel. It was good. I think we can all agree to have someone outside from SANSA. I'm not talking about SANSA. It's always good to get a different perspective from someone who comes with a different language. So just to, I think we can give them a big round of applause. I think they've been brilliant. So this is where the session ends. There was a request. If you're comfortable, if we can just take one photo with everyone that is here on the auditorium. Only if you're comfortable with having your photo taken. No. Oh, sorry. Oh, with the youth media movement only. Okay, only the youth media movement personnel. But anyone, if you want to join in the photo, you're more than welcome. And also, I'm not sure if Gerard at the back, you can also screen the QR code if people can rate the session. I think I did send it. Isn't it? Okay, but anyway, okay, we will fix it. It's not a problem. We'll just take the quick photo, and then this is where the session ends. If you're interested, there's another session that is happening here at the auditorium at 1 o'clock. That is going to be done by Prof. Mike Kosh. It's going to be at 1 o'clock until 1:45. Thank you very much. It's a public talk, yes. Thank you.
Chief, Slatam Khora. This is